nothing.
Welcome to Berlin, Germany for the 2021 EU Masters Semifinals. This weekend we enter the last stage of the competition. 4 teams remain and will fight in the hope of becoming the best region and our 2021 Spring EUM champion. I'm Laure, joined by my NLC rivals and expert Trouble and Goldberg. I'm so happy to have you in the studio. How are you doing?
So happy to finally be able to work with you and honestly look forward to a pure rivalry between the LFL and the NLC.
That's the hope here. Before jumping into today's action, let's take a quick look at what happened in the quarterfinals here with the bracket that we're going to show. Let's take a look at the back half of the bracket first. Big and MOUZ, amazing series. Ended with a boom. Can you talk about it?
Yeah, everyone thought that this was going to be a surprise, right? Big and MOUZ met in the Prime League finals. Big absolutely stomped them. For me, it wasn't a surprise. MOUZ usually turn up the heat towards the latter stages of EU Masters. And right here, they put leader back into the good old trusty Assassins. Falls behind, doesn't matter, still does the job. They'll take the 50-50 gamble and take revenge for the Prime League finals too.
Yeah, it was a super exciting series when we see Leader here. We'll talk about Leader a bit later in the pre-show. But before that, a series that I'm really not happy to talk about on the back side. BTXL versus Misfit Premier. We lost one LFL team there. Goldberg, how did the series go?
Yeah, I mean, I was a bit worried for BTXL in the first stages of the group, but they really came in smashing for quarters. This is exactly what we got to know them for. They could play around the deadly on the Kai'Sa, where we saw massive carry performance for the small guy you see in the picture there, but also for the top side, where we saw Orome finally back in form on the Camille. We see the likes of Hatrixx, Markoon, how they play around these laners, how they are facilitating their star players. So to me, I'm very confident in today's semi-final with a BTXL that's in a scary form here.
Yeah, the team is ramping up, really getting stronger throughout the whole tournament, and we now have 4 teams remaining, 4 different regions actually, and none of these teams has ever made a finals EU Masters.
Yeah, and we have, of course, Common Corp and UCAM that are coming in as rookie organizations as well. And out of the entire 20 players that we're seeing on the tournament, 7 of them are rookies. And we always know that the LEC has got the binoculars on and is looking for these rookies to pop back into an LEC team and make the new boom next split.
Yeah, and now before talking about the first series, let's preview the one we'll have later today, K-Corp versus UCAM. This is the second series we'll get. I've been in France for so long. I know that K-Corp are the fans' favorite here, but is it a bit the same for you guys in a...
Well, it sort of has been. They kind of took us by storm. What's really interesting about them and very surprising is how there's 5 different players in a brand new organization. You put your pawns, but you never know how they're going to work together. You never know if they're going to gel together. You don't know what play style they play. You don't know how the team is going to react together. And the surprising thing is that every single one of them plays for themselves, but all together. So it's sort of like mind-blowing to see the skill check and the team play all in one.
And on the other side, you have UCAM, the Superliga representative, only undefeated team here.
Yeah, so to me, UCAM has definitely been the biggest surprise so far. Not only because they're undefeated, but this was also the streak they just kind of had going for them in the Superliga as well. They came out of nowhere. These 3 new players that has never been to the European Masters. 2 of them has been on the European Master stage before, but never in a semi-finals. And that's what's so surprising about this team. It's the fashion they've done it in. I'd say they are one of the most coordinated team we'll have here. They're so well-rounded when they're playing around for the bot side. They can move the pressure up to mid, and they can move it up to the top side of the map. I love the flexibility we see for them, and UCAM is certainly a scary opponent and a well-deserved semi-final for the Superliga here.
I mean, at the end of the day, you guys all know my opinion that UCAM is sort of like a budget K-Corp.
Oof.
Yeah, so I'm going to side a little bit more with you rather than Gulbo, but yeah.
Interesting. We'll get to see this team later today, but for now, our first series is going to be BTXL versus MOUZ. Trouble is going to take a closer look at our NLC representative and how they utilize Hatrixx in the mid lane. You go, girl.
So we talked about the rookies, and of course you guys know Deadly, because he has been in the finals of EU Masters. You guys know your Oromes, because he has been in the LEC. He was a shining star there, actually. But let me talk to you about our Lord and Savior in the NLC, Hatrixx, because his playstyle is so key for how BTXL want to play the game. In this particular game, he's going on with the Galio. This is a particularly roaming style that wanted to play here due to, if you see here on the map, Orome playing the Camille and then the bot side having heavy engage. So wherever he pleases, he can play from. So if I choose to continue playing this clip right here. He's gonna hard shove the mid lane, which is extremely easy for a Galio, and then he's going to choose to make his way up top lane with his ultimate. Now, what's really funny here is that not only does he go towards the top side to try and pick a really quick kill onto the Gnar, putting Orome on the Camille even further ahead onto this matchup. But the great thing what he does is right after this play, he's coming in, he's getting Orome ahead, he's getting the kill for himself, and then the insta teleport is going to come in, not allowing his opponents to get any breath on the map. He's insta teleporting down the mid lane. He was gonna be insta teleporting down the mid lane, clear instantly the wave that's waiting for him. If we look here, the mid lane's pushing, he TP's mid lane and instantly gets that wave pushed. Now, he's not only good at playing this type of stuff, right? Because we mentioned, yeah, okay, roaming mid laners, it happens. But he's also really darn good at assassins. Right here onto the Akali, I want to emphasize how important it is that Hatrixx right here is on the bot side of the map while the rest of his team is mid and ready to pick a fight. Now, in this case, Hatrixx has all the kills for BTXL. He is the strong component for the team fights. And as we continue playing this clip, you will see that Schalke right here is gonna pick a fight because they know they can win the 4v5 without Hatrixx. The beautiful thing is how BTXL are going to kite backwards until the carry arrives. And when he does, you will see that instantly Markoon will re-engage to try and win some time for that Akali. And when Hatrixx arrives onto the Akali, he takes 1, he takes 2, he takes 3, and he takes the entire series for BTXL. So all in all, as you can see, Hatrixx protect, Hatrixx attack, but most importantly, Hatrixx plays a huge key in BTXL success.
Yeah, I mean, we've been talking about how BTXL was ramping up throughout the tournament, and it's also through Hatrixx's success. And he's gonna have kind of a challenge today, having to prove who's the best Norwegian mid laner in this matchup.
I mean, there's definitely two different kind of styles you're bringing in with these mid laners, and we have a look around, you can see the negative stats here, and you're probably, what's that about? I thought this was two good mid laners, but the thing is, it comes down to the style they're having. Leader, he loves playing these kind of champions where it's about, you fall behind in the early game, but then you feel immense pressure in the mid game, like the Zed, like the Akali, these melee assassins, like the Silas as well. And then Hatrixx, we just saw him on the likes, like the Galio, where it's not so much about gaining pressure in the laning phase, it's more about using the side lanes that you have instead. And I will say, yeah, Galio has not always been the champion Hatrixx been on. He did have a very underwhelming performance in the beginning, but as I said earlier as well, this guy's back in form.
I mean, it wouldn't be Goldbook on this analyst desk if for the first time behind us there weren't negative stats explained. So I love this. Now, moving forward, it's really key that these two guys play the exact same champions almost. We're like, Lida is the Assassin King coming into the EU Masters. But as you see behind me, Akali, Silas, they both play them. And it's those two key champions that they both choose to gravitate towards. So I'm expecting a lot of contention on that. And when it comes to the other part, you see that Lida is bringing more assassins into the table and more early pressure with the Lucians, with the Zeds, whilst Hatrixx likes to facilitate more for his team with the likes of the Orianna, the Victor, and the Galio that's roaming. So there's two players with two joint champion pools, but such different playstyles.
Yeah, and this playstyle also, I mean, you can see it when you look at the comps overall from these two teams. Let's take a closer look at the comps that they played during the quarterfinals, actually, because you have the classic BTXL front-to-back kind of team, and then MOUZ with the no AD carry comps, because they have Gadget on the bot lane. Yeah, who needs them, right?
Yeah, this is definitely interesting. You can see some of the comps from the quarters right here behind us. And if you take a look onto the MOUZ here, you can see there's so much about this backline damage. This is what this team loves to do. They love to get in, annihilate your backline AD carry, and then just take care of the rest of the team. And it's lovely that you got these AP mages down in the bot lane that Gadget can play, that can facilitate a guy like Leader as well, so he could get onto these AD mid laners that he loves getting onto. Like, he had a great matchup into the Lucian, very bad early laning phase, but you don't pick that matchup for that. And then you take a look onto the BTXL, and that's like a classic for them, right, Truffle?
Yeah, and I really like how they mentioned the draft kingdom for MOUZ, because when you have a guy in the bot lane that can play literally every single champion in the game, he can play tanks, he can play mages, he can play assassins, he can play traditional ADCs, what can BTXL do? Well, the answer is very simple, right? If you don't lose early against these guys, you're pretty much guaranteed to scale into the late game and play the front to back that you very well want to. So these are the two keys for both of these teams. For MOUZ is to find the early lead that they want to and have Gadget on something that he can carry through together with Leader. And for BTXL, he's playing slow, calm, collected, textbook fights. And maybe we get the bonus of seeing the Hatrixx Akali versus Leader Z.
That's the exciting matchup we want to see, especially in the mid lane. All these assassins, I mean, yeah, all the players, especially to display this kind of champions. Before we jump onto predictions here, this is only going to be best of 3. As we know, what can we expect from this format when you know those two teams?
So I know what you're going to say, but can I give a prediction now or shall I wait?
All right, let's go.
All right, I'm gonna slap it here. Hold on a second. I'm gonna give it 2-0 to BTXL because I believe that they came calm and collected in the quarterfinals. They came calm and collected in the second stage of groups. And they have learned a lesson when it comes to playing against really aggressive teams, right? And mousesports is a really, really aggressive team. So I believe they will have read them pretty well and they'll know how to play their side lanes and create pressure to the point where Leader cannot do much onto these assassins unless he wants to change his playstyle, which hasn't worked for him very well. So 2-0 for the NLC right here. They're not going to fall to the cheese lords of mousesports. I'm locking it in.
All right. Well, we'll see if Discord agrees, actually, because you can join the community and share our predictions on Discord. You follow the link below, discord.eumasters.lol. We're waiting for your predictions. And Goldberg, how about you?
I mean, I know a lot of casters, they don't like to come in here and they want to be neutral. I'm not going to do that. I'm here for the bias, all right? So BTXL, sure, I'm going to give it to it, but it's not going to be a 2-0 fashion. MOUZ is a very scary team. They're coming in with strategies that you have never faced before in any other team. And I know Gadget, yeah, right now we know the Carters, but you take a look at his match history in solo queue. There's the AP Twitch, there's the Kindred bot lane. There's so many things that this team just got in their arsenal that you are not prepared for. So for me, it's going to be a 2-1 in the end for BTXL. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt, but they're not going to go undefeated.
We'll see about that in a couple minutes. Actually, teams are playing for a spot in finals here. They're going to give it all. We're seconds away from the first game of the first series, so let's send it away to the casters.
Thank you very much, Law. Yeah, we're here. We're ready for our semi-finals to kick off. My name is Munchables, and I'm joined by Jamada today. And I just want to quickly mention, we're talking about some of the players being rookies coming into the semi-finals. We've got Jamada, who's a rookie at EU Masters, stepping into semi-finals first time. What an amazing performance. Bravo, mate.
Thank you, man. You know, young bucks everywhere. They're doing the good stuff right now. So, you know, I can't complain for myself. And like you say, rookies across the board here in the other semi-final as well. I'm looking forward to see how, especially, they're going to perform.
Yeah, and I think especially with these two organizations for our first matchup, as well as it's BTXL versus MOUZ, when you look at the history for these two organizations, they're both breaking the trends from previous EU Masters. When you look at BTXL, they've played in EU Masters 3 times before. It's been quarterfinals each and every single time. They've already made it past that point. Now it's breaking history. Now it's trying to push the envelope and raise the bar for the UK scene and for the NLC in general. But it's a similar story over for MOUZ, because when you look at MOUZ's history, there's a consistent issue for them, and it's Big. They already beat Big in the quarterfinals this time around. Big have won EU Masters before. MOUZ want to match their rivals and get an EU Masters title for themselves.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, personal record for them, making it to finals would be a very big deal for MOUZ. And I think today versus XL, this is probably going to be one of their better chances for me. I know on the desk, you know, a little bit of, hey, XL probably going to win this one. I'm kind of in the upper camp. As much as I want to be biased, I think for XL, it's going to be an uphill battle for them. For MOUZ, stylistically, I think player to player, they should have the advantage here, particularly mid-jungle, I think is sort of the biggest discrepancy coming into it.
Yeah, and I want to dig into that a little bit, because I think that mid-jungle matchup is fairly heavily one-sided. Like, we have Pridestalkr and Leader stepping up on the side of MOUZ, and when you look at these two players individually, they are exceptionally strong individual talents, and I feel like BTXL are going to have their work cut out trying to shut them out. But let's talk draft here, Jamada, because we're already into game number 1's draft. What do you expect to see? Because there could be some very significant target bans in this series.
Yeah, and okay, already my first question gone. What were XL going to do with this Karthus? Because it was clearly an issue for Big. They couldn't deal with the amount of damage that was being put out by Gadget. XL then all in to do it. My second question here for this draft, what's going to happen with the Hecarim? Because Markoon's kind of been playing it almost, it's pretty much synonymous with his name at the moment. He's played 7 games out of 9 here at the EU Masters, and Pridestalkr in recency, I believe 4 out of his last 5 games have been on that champion, so MOUZ going to ban it away in their final ban. are they just going to leave out because they know XL, it's a very predictable first pick. Here for XL at the moment, though, I think their band's targeted. I think it makes sense. Nocturne, Irelia, Karthus.
Giovanna, we were talking before the games began. It was like, do you think we'll see target bans? And you said if they're going to target ban MOUZ, they'll ban Karthus, they'll ban Irelia, and they'll ban Nocturne. You've absolutely nailed it, because those are the exact 3 bans that we see out from BT. The question is, does the Hecarim come as an answer? It will be Jinx, so Hecarim available if Markoon wants to turn it double digits and play his 10th game of EU Masters and his 7th of Hecarim.
Yeah, and it seems like that is going to be the case. So what is the answer here going to be for MOUZ? Are they going to lock in something like the Udyr just because they know it's the jungle matchup? But, you know, Hecarim Udyr. Seraphine is also one thing I was going to lean on. As, you know, in the quarters, it was 2 games of this mage style. I'll talk about that in a second. In that Karthus, are MOUZ now going to lean on that for Gadget so that Leader's Champion Pool can be open so they can play things like the Orome, like the Zed more freely? And now, on this pick in the XinZhao, I really love this here for MOUZ, because I think coming into this, Markoon versus Pridestalkr, this is a very one-sided jungle matchup. I think for Pridestalkr, in general, he's kind of smashed it in the stats. In the numbers, he's pretty much just kind of in the lead almost in every stat across the board, over Markoon in particular. And I think a matchup like XinZhao, so aggressive in the early game when Hecarim can't really deal with that aggression, it's a really solid pick up here for MOUZ.
Yeah, and you can see the Rell and the Kai'Sa coming on through on the side of BTXL. When you think back to their quarterfinal, we were talking about this sort of Exodia comp where they had a Galio, they had a Camille alongside these kind of picks. That could be very much an option for BTXL. That's something that's worked in the past for them, this sort of wombo combo with a self-sufficient AD carry.
Yeah, and now this is the opportunity for MOUZ to actually remove away some of those utility picks in the mid lane as well to stop, you know, a really powerful potential dive comp coming through here. They've already removed away the Orianna, of course, to supplement the follow-up for the Rell engages and, of course, the Hecarim. Are they going to lean into this Galio? Are they potentially even going to remove away the Camille just to sort of, you know, remove one half of that? Because Galio can be somewhat dealt with. Camille, you know, sometimes it can be a little bit difficult to draft into. So let's see now. XL, they're moving away the Lucian, 1 champion away from Leader's Champion Pool. You could see something like the Silas also come out in their second ban here.
Yeah, or something like the Zed, because we saw the Zed in quarterfinals. That was real scary. I don't know if it's bannable, but I'm scared of it. So we'll have to wait and see as the ban comes out. It's Cassiopeia away from Hatrixx. So that Galio we talked about still open right now for BT.
Yeah, I wonder what this signals though, because Cassiopeia is such a niche, it's obviously targeting something where Leader wants to play a champion. It could just actually
Sion mid lane, here we go.
I think maybe as Cassio could be something that they don't necessarily want to just deal with in general, because it's definitely off theme with what XL are running. The Silas ban is going to be the case here for their second ban. So what will MOUZ do now? They answer that immediately. They're just going to take away the Akali. It can be something that could have been slotted in here for Hatrixx in particular, just because the dive can be so threatening now. What are they going to sort of rotate here? The Galio and the Camille, both options here, and Galio can deal with that Akali very well.
Yeah, that could be a potential option. The one downside there is you're having to blind pick the Camille. So then MOUZ do have options for that counter pick. And I think very intelligently setting Satorius up with a counter pick. And in fact, it's going to be a Renekton up in the top side instead.
Yeah, and of course Renekton's still a very strong champion that you can play towards anyway, so if Galio is going to be the option here for Hatrixx, he can. You still obviously have things like the Victor if you want to lean into it. Advienne likes to over the army, so don't worry about that one much, it's okay. Let's just kind of see. Oh,
okay, here we go. We got a Malzahar for Hatrixx. We want control mages? Yeah. That's like the default. That is the control mage right there.
Okay, so very interesting. It was something that he obviously locked in very well earlier on in the tournament. I think in the spot that he did it in, it wasn't necessarily the best time to do it. I think here when you're dealing with obviously the Akali, making her have to pay the tax for QSS can be a very big deal, just because Akali is sort of item reliant, right? She wants to hit that first mythic and then she wants to get typically Zhonya's second. Sometimes it can vary, but making her have to shell out that 1,300 gold can be very important, and even shutting down the XinZhao from diving is a big deal. So I like this Malzahar pick here for Hatrixx, and the response from MOUZ very standard to Mel, kind of away from what they'll normally do. I feel it's going to be the Gnar into that Renekton.
Yeah, the Gnar versus Renekton, we've seen this matchup about 1,000 times across the course of the year, but I want to talk bigger picture here for MOUZ and how this composition is going to function, because I think, you know, with having a Seraphine in the bot lane, with the XinZhao coming out in the jungle, this is not your standard composition. How does this function in the game? How did MOUZ turn this composition into a win?
I think if I'm MOUZ here, you're looking sort of towards that level 6 mark, maybe the first item spikes, the Moonstone for the Seraphine, obviously the big spike. I'm not actually sure what the optimal itemization always is for Akali at the moment on this current patch. we'll have to see what leader actually wants to lean into for that. And then XinZhao seems to just be a champion that's kind of strong from start to sort of middle of the game. Obviously, he can fall off a little bit, but his skirmishing and sort of disruption ability is very, very strong. So I think looking at these sort of first 2 dragons, as soon as these level 6s come online, I expect MOUZ to get way more aggressive.
Well, Jamada, we're on to the roof. We're heading into our first semi-finals of the EU Masters, and both of these organizations making history for themselves here today. Whoever can make it to the final, it would be the first time making it to a final. And I want to talk regional expectations for a second here before we get too deep into this game, because on the side of MOUZ, they're from the Prime League, right? And the Prime League has won EU Masters before, so it feels like they're definitely, regionally speaking, one of the favorites for the whole tournament at this point, and perhaps the favorite to make it to the final here today. But for BTXL, they're forging a new pathway here for the NLC and for the UKLC before that as well. Like, this is a region that has not had representatives in the final ever before.
Yeah, and I think just sort of on a journey level for XL, this roster was put together to win EU Masters. That was the whole point of this roster. Yes, obviously, when you play in the ERL, you want to do the best you can, but that was the goal from start to where we are right now. And so far, they've been doing a pretty damn good job, I'd say. But MOUZ, they're not going to be easy competition. Like you say, they've always sent teams deep into competition. They've won the competition before through Big. MOUZ are the ones in place of Big this time. They took down Big, now they're here to make it to the finals.
Well, we'll see if MOUZ are going to be able to. They've already defeated their demons now. Can they just defeat the rest of their opponents, who demon or not? But let's talk about this game. Let's talk jungle pathing here, as we see Pridestalkr starting on that top side, which indicates perhaps wants to go for an early play down in the bottom lane.
Yeah, could definitely see Pridestalkr make his way down to that bottom side. Obviously, the setup there from the Nautilus, and even Gadget can aid in some CC down in that bottom lane. You don't really want to play into the Gnar too early unless it's a lane that he can truly abuse. Sometimes Renekton can get the better half of that matchup, and I mean, at the moment you can see Satorius, I think, just given by the minimap positioning, he's just fully giving up prio at the moment. So I think doing a good job there. So I'm expecting if Pridestalkr is going to hit a lane early on, it's going to be on this bottom side. Potentially Hatrixx, if he sort of overextends here in this mid lane, definitely a very vulnerable target.
Nice little hook in there from Enjawve, but not a trade that they win that significantly, considering BTXL's bot lane is level 1 there. You'd hope the level 2 spike would be a little more potent, but this is one of the downsides of having that Seraphine as your bot lane.
Yeah, it can be a lane where you can't necessarily, you know, lay in all of this damage very, very early on. It does take a couple of levels for Seraphine to sort of come in online with some of those trades, but of course the big benefit to Seraphine bottom lane is that you've got all of that sustain, so even if you don't get the biggest chunks out of your opponents, you're still going to heal up over the course of. So we'll have to see whether the health bar.
The long over a long period of time, you win out the trades, right? Because
Exactly.
less sustain. We'll see how that's going to go. As Pridestalkr moves down towards this bot side here, Scuttle Crabs will be spawning any second now. Potentially looking towards the mid lane first, but I think he's just going to return. Both junglers just agree to do a clear. We do have one bonus camp on the side of Markoon, who did take his Krugs, whereas Pridestalkr chose to skip that camp.
Yeah, there is Prior up here in the top lane, so if he wanted to go and attack those Krugs and take them for himself, he could have, but he's just going to go for the reset, and Pridestalkr on the other side just going to get vision on this chicken camp, and you can see on screen stats right now, there's potential for a bit of jungle gap, given the numbers. Markoon has had his impact, certainly, but by the stats, he's definitely not had the most enjoyable time. He's definitely been on the worst end of some of the jungle matchups this year.
Yeah, this is
Pridestalkr on the other hand, yeah.
The Dutch jungle duel, right? And definitely feels like it's been pretty one-sided in one way, but we've got Enjawve, or Advienne, sorry, stepping on up here, gets the knock-up onto Gadget, does have his subs, but doesn't have any chance to use them. Immediately taken out by Deadly.
Yeah, I mean, MOUZ, they were looking for the reset, and it's just Advienne walking up, checking the bush, see if they're there. Nothing really to analyze. It's just Gadget not being able to flash over the wall in time, and even if he did, he probably would have been followed either way. Nice, quick, and cheeky first blood picked up for XL, and the important thing is it goes into the pocket of Deadly, so he's likely going to recall here for that Noon Quiver, just one step closer, faster to that first item completion.
And I have to say, it feels good as a long-time UK commentator to see the first blood of a semi-finals at EU Masters go into the hands of the UK ADC superstar himself, Deadly. And I want to just take a second and go down memory lane here, because I remember Deadly stepping into the UK scene years and years ago now. I think it was 2017, might have been 2016. It was at the UK Premiership, before the UK Premiership had even renamed. This is a long time back. He was on TCA, and he almost won a split for himself, but the semi-final he lost in, the star player was Larson, who is now one of the best mid laners in the whole of Europe. Like, when you go back in Deadly's career, he's played against some of the real greats. He's even played against Broxo as well. So this is a guy that's been around for a while now, and I feel like I've been able to watch his career grow with time, and it feels like he's really on the cusp of something great for himself.
Yeah, he certainly could be. And players like that kind of across the board, I feel. Of course, you've got Orome ex-LEC. Leader and Pridestalkr both had their stints in the LCS and LEC respectively.
Yeah, Satorius too.
Yeah, there you go. So very storied, many of the players here, amongst some of the new blood as well. But for now,
My Deadly!
No.
Oh my days! I wasn't even like, I wasn't even
was
considering
blind.
that was contestable. Deadly just blasts it blind into the fog.
oh my god!
I was gonna hold off on calling this guy Robin Hood.
Yeah,
because I didn't want to make that. But that's a blind shot into. That's like William Tell territory right there. Apple off of the head.
Yeah, it really is. And Leader almost stepped up into Hatrixx there with Markoon waiting in the wings. That could have potentially been deadly. But my goodness, what a snipe. I don't think it was deadly. Yeah, I don't think Pridestalkr had smite, and that's why the steal was able to come down. But the rotation has come in. Mid lane priority means that first move is here for XL, and they're just gonna immediately go into Satorius.
Level 6 has been hit. R has been pressed. Satorius survives,
hold on.
with the TPs coming up through. Markoon goes back under the tower. He's a madman. And Hatrixx falls as well. It's all gone to shambles for BTXL. Leader jumps further in with the perfect execution. Pridestalkr not level 6 just yet. Gets the reset though. Can jump in for this one, but opts out for now. Great play by MOUZ.
Yeah, I mean, great response from MOUZ. The execution just completely botched by BTXL. They had the suppression down, but I just feel like the chain CC wasn't there. I don't know if... I'm pretty sure Markoon was level 6 when he walked to the top lane, so he just didn't commit the ult immediately. Just felt like he was going to die. Didn't want to overcommit resources, but not overcommitting resources mean that they end up overcommitting, trying to make up for the mistake of not committing those resources in the first place. You get the replay, the suppression comes down, the stun is great, but somehow, Satorius still managed to dive out. And I think the flash away from the Onslaught of Shadows means that Satorius doesn't actually get hit by the damage or the fear portion of the ability, and the Devastating Charge just isn't enough damage. So Satorius makes it out of that one. 2 kills go over into the pocket of MOUZ.
Yeah, and that's a scary prospect, because guess who's got one of those kills? It's Leader in the mid lane. We said how this guy, when he's on the Assassins, this is his comfort zone. This is where he can pop off and carry. And the gold right now for BTXL is in the pocket of Deadly. Guess what AD carries are weak to? Akali.
Now, hold on, because I'm gonna devil's advocate a bit. You know, Kai'Sa's kind of an assassin in her own right sometimes, and she's got the big shield. You know, it can be hard to pin down this particular AD. We'll have to see how Deadly handles it. And of course, there are quite a few champions that can help in trying to keep Leader off of his back. So it's not all doom and gloom just yet. And of course, Leader is going to have to eventually pay that QSS tax, you feel.
Yeah, absolutely. There's still plenty of time. There's still plenty of time for both of these teams. Like, when you look at the gold, we're just about even at this point as Markoon continues to clear through the jungle, and we looked at the jungle stats earlier. Feels like, on paper, it would be very Pridestalkr favored, but because of this XinZhao pick, in terms of farm, you expect Markoon to have an advantage on this Hecarim to be able to just full clear. You can see right now, it is Deadly and Leader topping the gold chart. Markoon right there behind, because he's able to just power clear through the jungles and was able to get that assist earlier on as well. But I think for me, in this game, my eyes are going to be on Deadly with that early gold spike going his way, with the fact that he's on the Kai'Sa, and with the fact that across the course of EU Masters, he is very regularly getting himself a CS lead in the early game. When you look at his stats in lane, plus 15 CSD at 15 minutes, very regularly, and almost 30% of his damage share for his team. That is exceptionally high.
Yeah, especially when you consider XL haven't really been playing towards Deadly in every single game. These are the kind of stats where you'd look at them and you'd say, all right, obviously this team is a relatively bot-centric team. It's not really been the case throughout the tournament. This has been Deadly occasionally kind of just left on an island. to his own devices, and he still managed to pull these numbers through. So let's see if XL decide to sort of play through the man in the bottom lane this time around with that lead.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I want to quickly mention something as well, because I don't have time for that, because Gadget's in trouble under the tower here. There's TP coming on through. We're still going to commit to the play, though, and I think the TP was cancelled, actually. Yeah. Orome managing to stop that one, I believe, as there is a kill down in the bottom side. Pridestalkr looks like he's just going to answer with a Herald.
Yeah, he is going to answer. I think the Herald is going to go uncontested. It seemed like XL were maybe going to move the numbers all the way back up, but it's just been left a little bit too long. Pridestalkr would have taken Herald, as you see right there, so not going to be able to get a fight on the back end of it with something like a numbers advantage, but they are going to move their numbers up towards the top side, and this is something MOUZ love to do. They were so good at it versus Big in the quarterfinals, just using the numbers advantage where and when they can. Orome kind of respecting it, but it seems like MOUZ, for now, they're just going to call off the play. They know that dragon's spawning in a couple of minutes, and with the trading tool of the Herald, they could potentially try and find an advantage in terms of setup here. As neither team necessarily has a whole bunch going at the moment. There is some deep vision for XL, but once MOUZ sort of get this reset completely off and start trying to jostle for some positioning, could be potentially a bit hard for XL.
You know, it's kind of interesting to watch how this other game has gone when you consider the way we were looking at MOUZ. Oh, hang on, another play being made. BTXL just so proactive this game. As soon as ults are available, they just pull the trigger. That should open up a second Drake already.
Yeah, absolutely. This should just be Dragon number 2 going into the pocket of BTXL, and let's see what the Soul's going to be, because you've got Cloud and Ocean, both the options here, and I mean, honestly, for XL, you'd happily take either of those. Let's see, tick over, it's going to be Ocean. So it's just going to be that more irritating for MOUZ to try and take down health bars if the Dragon Snowball does go in the favor of XL at the moment. But just seeing kind of the power of the CC between a lot of these champions, Malzahar in particular, is just so annoying to play around in the early stages. If you just aren't allowed to have access to a QSS because your champion needs to be like to these core items in the Mythics.
And when you think about the fact that there was a Cassiopeia ban for this Akali, right? What does Cassiopeia do? Drops the miasma, stops you being able to jump around. Guess who's even better at stopping you jumping around? Bloody Malzahar just presses R and there's nothing you can do about it. So really difficult matchup for Leader until he's able to get a QSS for himself. But again, like you're saying, stops a lot of that damage in the early game if you have to go for that QSS. Orome needs to be a little bit careful here. Yeah, Satorius moving over. Leader was up there as well, but he's got Markoon moving into the lane. This could be a very sneaky play from BTXL. Didn't get spotted by the looks of things.
Yeah, I mean, if this play starts right now, BTXL have teleport advantage. Leader's coming up in a couple of seconds.
Oh, the stun comes in onto Satorius. There's a fear as well. Damage there from Orome, but they can't quite finish it off yet. Another TP being channeled. 2 on either side, but it's 3v4 here. Advienne moves in. We're looking towards a 5v5 here. It's only Deadly, not on this side of the map.
Yeah, I mean, Deadly at the moment kind of just sitting in the bottom lane. And even Gadget was making his way up to this potential top lane skirmish. Is going to catch a wave in the mid lane for himself. But Deadly getting more solo XP, and there's going to be a little bit of this wave bled out on the bottom side. Potentially even a plate going over into Deadly's pocket as well. So overall, the gold swing definitely going to be a little more BTXL favored because of how that play ended up actually happening.
Do you know, I'm really impressed by BTXL's proactivity in this game so far. Because when we talk about mousesports coming into this series, we were saying like how they're very, very proactive. The skill check team is kind of what they've been quoted as. But it feels like they've had to just react to each of the plays so far this game. BTXL in a semi-final, the first time they've been in a semi-final, being this proactive and this keen on the map is a really, really good sign, showing the confidence of this team right now.
Yeah, it really is. And I think also sort of throwing out there what you could realistically consider a bit of a curveball pick in the Malzahar. Right? It's not a champion you see pop up a whole bunch in competitive play at the moment. Though I do feel like he does have his space, and this is certainly one of those games I feel. Hence why, of course, Hatrixx has locked it in for himself. It's just being able to pull out a champion like this in a best-of-3 where if you take one win, all of a sudden you're 1 win away again. That's all you need in a best-of-3 is just 2 wins. So if you can get an early advantage just off of champion picks like that and coming out with all of this confidence, it can be a real big boost to sort of getting that momentum going in a series.
Yeah, it certainly can be, and especially having this confidence early on in the series is so important when you look across the two rosters. Like the BTXL roster much more inexperienced comparatively to MOUZ. When you look across, like, we've got 3 players on the side of MOUZ in those top 3 roles that have been in the EU LCS or the LEC respectively. You've got Gadget, who's literally played at the World Championship for UOL. Yeah. This is an extremely experienced roster on the side of MOUZ. A lot of veterans in this roster, whereas for BTXL, not quite the case. So for them, a lot of these players are going to be forging a new destiny here today and across the course of EU Masters. And this series is absolutely pivotal in these players' careers. When you think over the last couple of years, how many players from EU Masters have moved into the LEC, making it to the finals alone is a huge milestone for any up-and-coming player. But here we go, Advienne flashes in for a play onto Gadget. Jumps on out, will survive for now. Enjawve now looking to extend the fight. Leaders moving down, Deadly flashes out. Advienne, I think you might be in trouble here, buddy. Jumps back onto the horsey, but knocked up, pulled back here. Enjawve stepped too far forward, though. Deadly's got the damage and will finish one. Gadget's in trouble as well. No flash for him as it's 2 for BTXL. The R button out skills leader, and Satorius finds himself alone.
Yeah, I mean, Satorius, he's going to have to probably yield this tower. If XL want to take it, they certainly can. For now, it seems like they are just going to back away. They want the reset timers because this dragon is coming up. If they reset now, they're going to still be the first ones back out onto the map, and it means that MOUZ, they're going to have to check into all of this BTXL vision at the moment. Still even get the tower for their troubles. Either way, really big win in this bottom lane skirmish here. Even though Leader had first move, the teleport was quicker on the finger there for Orome. And unfortunately for Satorius, just didn't have Gnar get the start of the fight here. Just a nice engage coming out from Advienne. Gadget has to flash away. The encore is nice and the CC is there, but you can just see there's not enough damage right now. It's just not that point in the game where Seraphine can not necessarily pop someone, but at least do meaningful damage. The teleports come down and all of a sudden it's just Markoon. He's here now, and even though Leader, yes, he is, you know, on this assassin which can definitely thrive in these skirmishes, you've got the outskill button on the enemy team. Hatrixx just presses his Archie and there's nothing you can do about it. MOUZ, however, have somehow found their way onto this dragon ahead of XL. I'll be really curious to see how they managed to do that. Seems like XL just decide they want this Herald more than that third dragon. And Deadly, he's going to get himself this tower for free. So there is a little more gold swing going in favor of XL, but you feel like potentially could have gotten maybe the best of both worlds. If they wanted that dragon, they could have taken and then still moved numbers over. But this is the decision made by XL. They're going to give over that dragon.
Yeah,
it's going to buy MOUZ a little bit of time.
I don't hate this, though, because think about the map control that they can gain from grabbing both of the outer towers now. Having the Herald to just slam at the mid tower that, guess what? It's already half HP, so that'll finish it off. That would be all 3 tier 1s against 0. So sure, they do miss out on this Drake, but it can set them up for the future Drakes. And when they have a lead like they do right now, 3.5, almost 4,000 in their favor, it feels like they're in a position to just snowball ahead and maybe never even think about a Dragon Souls.
Maybe so. And honestly, map control, such a big deal for compositions like XL, where they kind of just love to pick on people that are just kind of isolated. The Malzahar Orome, Advienne with Hex flashes out of the bushes, out of fog. It can get really, you can very easily be suffocated, and this is the kind of thing you can see occur.
Goodness. Leader is just not having a good time right now. The fact that every single time he goes near, Hatrixx just presses R, and then Deadly gets his R off of the back of that as well.
Yeah.
So we talked about Kai'Sa being an assassin. Well, this Kai'Sa already has 4 kills, already has a Kraken Slayer, almost a Phantom Dancer as well. Like, Deadly is absolutely huge in this game. There you go, the Phantom Dancer just finished, and Hatrixx is the perfect champion to set him up.
Yeah, definitely so. And I see the potential makings of a QSS in that No Magic Mantle now for Leader, so let's see if that's actually just going to be the completion.
It took him 18 minutes to figure it out, and then he's like, okay, I have to accept my fate.
I mean, at the end of the day, Akali really does need that first item, does need that mythic to have a whole bunch of kill threat onto her targets. With that level 2 Orome now as well, it's going to be all the more threatening. So if he can find skirmishes or plays just, honestly, where Hatrixx isn't, he can find a little bit of success. But for now, I think, as long as Leader doesn't have that QSS, Hatrixx is just going to continue to bully him in some of these skirmishes, and it seems like the map's going to sort of fall into a bit of a soft 1-3-1, where Markoon at the moment is just going to shadow this Malzahar. He knows Malzahar can sometimes be, he can fall prey to multiple members jumping on him, and he's realistically got single target damage, right? So shadowing him and then moving straight back towards Deadly and Advienne in the mid lane. And they can repeat this because all of these outer towers, like you said, now in hindsight, I don't hate it either. Taking down that top tier 1 into the mid lane tier 1 with that Herald, which means they're going to start to slowly suffocate MOUZ out of all of this vision. As you can see, the vision line is barely there for MOUZ already. You've got the Raptors, a shallow ward up in the mid lane. That's about as far as it really goes. You've got some wards yet to be cleared out, which XL will find eventually, and Satorius now potentially finding himself in a lot of trouble.
This might not be the right place on the map to be, my friend.
Yeah.
He is gone. See you later, Satorius. As another kill goes the way of BTXL. Now 5,000, the gold lead, and they're just starting to take all of the jungle camps. They're starting to completely dominate this map state right here. And this XinZhao pick from Pridestalkr, I was under the impression he was going to be charging around in the early game, taking control of the game. That is not what has happened.
Yeah, and I think it's realistically just kind of do with the lane matchups. He didn't necessarily have loads of lanes to play around. It was just the bottom lane, really. Hatrixx had to overextend. Orome can get out of those ganks relatively freely as long as he's got the slice and dice available. So Pridestalkr didn't really have much of a goal to play towards in the early stages. Didn't really have much lane priority on a consistent basis to go and get up in Markoon's face. He still almost comically has found himself an XP lead at the moment. Though I would assume Markoon is not too far behind. But level advantages, disadvantages at this point in the game aren't really going to matter too much if Markoon is just getting a whole bunch of value out of his champion. As oh, thank you very much, Observers. Got some XP on the side.
Oh, here we go. Bit of a fight in the mid lane as well. Enjawve's been caught out. Still has half his health, though. It's a good charm across the team. And Deadly, he'd already used his cleanse. Has a stopwatch low. The skill point comes on through. And Deadly survives. So now, kiting back Satorius. About to discover why he's called Deadly here. Another kill coming on through. But MOUZ winning out the fight so far here. It's going to be 3v4. Flash forward from Gadget. Gets the slow on to Advienne. Leader over the wall. W available for Orome, but he can't close the gap. Deadly trying to dash up to the top side. Advienne sacrifices himself to try and get his AD carry out of dodge. But Deadly, you're on the wrong side of the world here, buddy. I don't know if he'll be able to get away with this one. Enjawve trying to head him off. Deadly with the great escape.
Can the hook land?
He pull it off? The hook doesn't land. He finds a blast going and he's out of there.
He's made it out, but I mean, the end result is still XL. They lose out on this fight, and it is them who start this engage off. They go on to Enjawve, but the damage just isn't there. There isn't enough commitment. Deadly can't really get enough damage down, and Pridestalkr finds his way on top of Deadly, sweeps off everyone away, and you can see on the minimap, Leader, he's on his way to this fight. Honestly, if he doesn't teleport and he just walks up here, I think he just murders Deadly on the spot. So in a way, XL, I think, kind of lucky to not just outright get aced in this kind of scenario because of the way the teleport came in, but it's just an overforced play where XL, you can understand why they want to make a play like this, but they can just play on the vision, play on the lane priority, and then retreat back into that dragon pit and just force the likes of MOUZ through some of these chokes, which they could very easily dominate.
You can see Pridestalkr topping the damage in that fight as well. And importantly, I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, I saw Pridestalkr's ult block basically all of Hatrixx's damage. He was ulting from outside of Pridestalkr's crescent guard, so he was able to just completely mitigate the entire Malzahar burst damage. But importantly, we're hitting some spikes here across the board, Jamada. You've got two items on the top laner, the mid laner, and the AD carry on the side of BTXL. They're strong, and they know it as they kick this Baron off.
Yeah, they are kicking this Baron off, but this is kind of risky. There's a lot of AoE abilities that can come in from MOUZ, but it's because Satorius is on the bottom side and no teleport. He's making his way up now, but he doesn't have Mega Gnar, and that's going to be very crucial. This Baron's getting really low. MOUZ have to make a decision.
They're just doing it. I'm just going to get the smite. Pridestalkr is now stuck in the pit. Charm goes across Hatrixx, getting chased by Leader, but Pridestalkr goes down. BT can just stay grouped here. Leader goes in. Perfect execution. Deadly is down. Leader looking to try and carry the fight, and he might just be able to do it. 3 members left of BTXL. Indigo with the Gnar ulti. He's found his way in, and Leader finds himself triple. Orome looking to finish him off, looking for a bit of revenge. Will shut down the assassin, and Markoon gets out of the top side.
Yeah, it's Orome and Markoon who walk away with the Baron buff, but I don't know if you're necessarily happy with this Baron takedown if you're BTXL, given the gold lead, the map state, the game state. You would want a cleaner walk away with this Baron. We get the replay here, and it just seems to be, they feel like they're going to have the numbers advantage. They will have the numbers advantage. Pridestalkr doesn't get the smite down, unfortunately. The Encore comes in on over the top. But, I mean, he just gets bursted down pretty quickly. Leader on the other side, because there is no ultimate really there to be used by Hatrixx anymore. He's just got free reign inside of the pit for such a long time. Finds Deadly inside, finds Hatrixx afterwards. The Gnar's nice as well, and that's kind of what seals the fate here. Leader not being taken down means he's able to get all of these shurikens down. Just time and time again, he lays out so much damage.
So I got to see what happened the second time around there. Hatrixx tried to use his ult on Pridestalkr, but they both pressed R at the same time. So as Hatrixx animation started, Pridestalkr's ult knocked him away, cancelled the whole thing. So a little unfortunate there for Hatrixx, and it does mean that Leader is then able to just run around that fight and do whatever he wants. Got that shutdown, importantly, onto Deadly as well. So Leader now will be packing a huge punch going into the next fight. And you can see he's finished 2 items, and importantly, he has paid that tax. The QSS is there, so now Leader has a bit more freedom in these fights and could try and repeat that performance that we just witnessed.
Yeah, and I know it's not the Skarner, but I'm sure XinZhao would still be proud of the QSS purchase. So let's see what BTXL they're going to do with the remainder of this Baron buff. They've set up in the top side for now as a 5-man. They're not willing to separate themselves at all. They don't want to give MOUZ the opportunity to find somebody in a numbers disadvantage. So for now, they're going to take down this top tier 2, and that just leaves the mid tier 2, the only inner tower available for MOUZ.
Jamada, there isn't a single tower that's been taken by MOUZ just yet. Like, when we look at who has had control of the game so far, it has been BT from minute 1. Yeah. But importantly, like you mentioned before, they haven't done so hot on the Drakes. They've got the first 2. They chose to opt out of the 3rd one, but now a 4th one has gone the way of MOUZ as well. So they're on 2 Oceans back to back. Next one up in a minute. Feels like BTXL have to start to prioritize that.
Yeah, I feel it's almost a strange decision. You can understand the 3rd dragon in a way, right? You open up the map, you get more immediate value out of strangling MOUZ out of any vision. Leader kind of, I feel like he might get cut off here. XL kind of know where he is. I'm relatively sure.
We go.
Very strange.
In Advienne and Enjawve just giving each other a high five and then walking in the opposite direction. Just supports doing support things. You know how it is.
There you go, yeah. But the 4th dragon, it was XL. They overforced the play when they could have played patiently and waited on MOUZ realistically to check into what would have been their own territory and taken them down for overextending. But now, Satorius.
Trying to look for more. The ult comes in Deadly with the QSS, or the cleanse, sorry, but it's going to be Orome pulled back in. Leader on the backline right now. He's 1v3 and he's happy about it. Is Orome. He's trying to hold off the rest of the squad, but Leader is just having no threat whatsoever. He'll finish off Orome himself, who just dashes off to the other side of the map. Satorius will chase him down in the end. That's another shutdown, and that's going to be another Drake for MOUZ.
It's just a head scratcher if you're watching this as a BTXL fan. They just seem kind of lost at the moment, and all of these fights coming at very poor times now. The second time that there's been a fight right as a dragon is spawning up, and now MOUZ, they're going to be 1 dragon away. Markoon's in base. He's not going to try, or he can't really try at all for a steal. So 1 more dragon, and MOUZ all of a sudden have a 4 Ocean Dragon, Ocean Soul. Can get so oppressive at that point. And you see Satorius, he's got that rage bar filled up, dashes forward, gets immediately ulted, but the Encore breaks the full channel, and from that point on, Satorius just R's Hatrixx. He knows he doesn't really have to do anything else. The hook comes in onto Orome, and all the while, Leader is keeping the remainder of BTXL busy with the perfect execution sort of laid up and ready to have the trigger be pulled on it. And it just means Orome can't get any backup, and if he can't get any backup, he's just going to die in the middle of 4 members of MOUZ.
This is becoming a very tense game. What was looking like a guaranteed win for BTXL, which, you know, I'm not going to lie, I was getting real excited about. There's a little Union Jack at the top of my screen, and it's been a while since I've seen that at an important stage of a tournament. But that massive lead that we were talking about feels like it has slipped away from BTXL off the back of that Baron play earlier. But importantly, Deadly has hit that 3-item mark. He is going to be hitting like a truck in these fights if he can position correctly and if the team can set him up for success.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the key thing, being able to actually set Deadly up with success, giving him the correct kind of engages for him to dash forward onto, buying him space if it is actually you who has to kite back in some of these skirmishes, if MOUZ are the ones that get things going. And honestly, what a very strange turn of events, especially after how the first sort of 15 to 20 minutes went for XL. MOUZ all of a sudden, despite still being down 4,000 gold, the feel, the taste in your mouth of the game, right? It feels all of a sudden like MOUZ kind of are the ones, not necessarily in control, but if something breaks out, you would imagine at this point it feels like MOUZ are going to be the ones that kind of come up ahead.
Yeah, and I think the key thing is, like, the whole game so far, it has felt like BT were in control. And now we've got to a point where it's not necessarily that MOUZ are in control of the map, but it doesn't feel like BT are just able to walk wherever they want, do whatever they want on the map, right? It doesn't feel like they can just control everything in the way that they did before. Baron on the map, though. BTXL having vision control of the river, but MOUZ this time have control of their own jungle.
Yeah, MOUZ, a little more freedom just because XL, they fumbled so many plays when they tried to move high up into the lanes that potentially just not feeling comfortable anymore walking so high up. So the vision line just isn't quite there, and MOUZ able to reclaim some of their territory in that topside jungle, even pressing into the river at the moment. And XL, they're not even really contesting the mid wave at this moment in time either, so just kind of giving that one over free. I think Hatrixx was... No, he wasn't even taking the blue buff, so no reason, but it's not going to amount to anything just now. There's no dragon. And MOUZ is not necessarily the best Baron taking team in the world, so they wouldn't have done it on that time anyway.
Look at MOUZ just stacking in the brush. You can feel how tense this is. Remember, this is only a best of 3, guys. Yes. This is not a best of 5, so you really don't have much space to mess up here. BTXL know that they messed up a little bit early on in this game, but they did still manage to get those tier 2 towers. There's just the one in the mid lane. In terms of actual map presence, they've still got 2 of their tier 1s in the side lanes. TP's coming on through behind the plate. Gadget turns gold, and Hatrixx off on the back line by himself here. Deadly jumps in onto Gadget. It's going to be AD carried down by one AD carry. Pridestalkr buying some time, but he's ulted in the middle of everyone. Will be able to survive the Q-Dome. Leader's in the fight now, chase it down. Deadly gets the perfect execution. Leader popping off on the Akali, looking for more assassinations, but Orome is here to shut him down. It's turning onto his head. BTXL finding a way back into the fight, and Orome is the name of the game.
It is the name of the game, and honestly, at the start of that fight, it looked like BTXL were going to start to walk away with it. They find the first 2 kills, but all of a sudden, Leader pops off, but eventually is shut down by the Crocodile Man in Orome. We'll get the replay here. Starts off with that teleport, and that for BTXL just means go, 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 go. They know Leader was up in the top lane pushing that wave. They dive in, they get Gadget initially, and the Orome from Pridestalkr buys them a lot of time, but then Hatrixx flashes into the zone, into the Crescent Guard zone to actually layer that suppress down. But fortunately for him, flashes over the wall. Deadly can't find the execution damage, and all of a sudden, Leader has complete free reign onto the carries of BTXL. He finds Hatrixx and Deadly in succession, isn't quite able to find Markoon because the re-engage, or the peeling rather, of Advienne comes in. Orome finds all of the remainder of the damage. Enjawve has to run for the hills, but she doesn't have the movement speed or the gap closers to make it out of there. And now all of a sudden, BTXL, they win this fight. Look at the damage to Orome, 5k pretty much. 1,000 over anybody else. BTXL now have control of this river. Probably the first time they've had control of the river since about that 4th or 3rd Drake to actually take it down.
So this would be the 3rd Drake for BTXL, but this would be Ocean Soul if Pridestalkr can get in there and get a swipe down. That is a massive cooldown down. Gadget whiffs the encore completely. That is a guaranteed Drake now for the side of BTXL. They get this one for free. Satorius still Mega Gnar right here, looking for Orome, but misses Hizzle as well. It's all just going completely wide right now for MOUZ.
Yeah, and I was wondering if BTXL were maybe going to sort of turn around and say, okay, there's no Mega Gnar anymore, there's no encore, maybe this is a time to actually move forward and try and take a fight, but nothing to really be gained, nothing to really flip the game over. So they just kind of run for the hills, take the safer option, get a couple of resets off.
They need to be a little cautious because BTXL are chasing them out of this jungle. They're not going to allow them to take anything else for free. Not even the wolves can go the way of MOUZ on this one. And now Baron on the cards, dragging it up for another 4 minutes. That's the next objective.
Yeah, if XL read the map here correctly, they might just start Baron up. They should potentially feel like MOUZ are going to go for a reset. They are at least going to recognize that and take some vision down. Nothing too aggressive on that Baron start on that side of things, but mid lane priority pressed up high. They can even move up into the top lane if they want to, but you can see the vision line so high up for XL. MOUZ don't really have any wards in their jungle at this moment. It's probably just complete darkness.
It's really important to point out as well that Gadget has no QSS. If Gadget is caught out by Hatrixx, he will just die on the spot. There's basically nothing he'll be able to do about that one. But Satorius and Leader both with those QSSs, so they're not really targets that Hatrixx can choose to focus at this point. 3 items now for Pridestalkr as well, so he has a lot of longevity in these fights, a lot of survivability. Surprising to see him go for that Eclipse as well instead of the Crossfire Gauntlet that we've so commonly seen on these XinZhaos. Does mean he's not going to be quite as tanky as you'd maybe expect.
Yeah, maybe not in base stats, but you do get all of the artificial HP via the healing, so it's a bit of a trade-off. And on top of that, you also do get the shield from using 2 abilities in succession as well. So, you know, pros and cons. All in all, I think Eclipse here is okay. It's not terrible itemization. So he's going to be fine with that one. And like you say, longevity, name of the game, Sterak's GA on top of it. And on the other side, items really beyond in for XL. Orome, of course, has pretty much a mirror to what Pridestalkr has. Of course, in place of the Eclipse is that Gore Drinker, Deadman's Plate, Chem Tank, Thorn Mail, pretty much core items here for Markoon. And of course, Deadly, even going for the Serpent's Fang, just because of how much shielding can come out from the Sterak's Gauge and of course Seraphine as well. So honestly, it doesn't want to have to deal with the shields.
Yeah, you know, I wouldn't have thought of it, but I could definitely get behind that decision against the Seraphine, especially. Like, it's just so obnoxious. And when you're getting your Q across the whole team, marking them all and reducing that shielding definitely can be very effective. And you can see the Morellonomicon as well for Hatrixx to try and reduce some of the healing that will come through. Definitely feels like, though, Jamada, we're starting to get to that late game 5v5 point where, yes, there's a 5k gold lead right now for BTXL, but the longer this goes on, the less that gold lead matters.
Yeah, exactly. It's very soon going to turn into a game of execution. It feels like in the last couple of fights and skirmishes, that's actually already been the game. Pridestalkr constantly checking the Baron with that sweep and thrust in the W. Just no vision. He just doesn't know. But I think for now, both teams, they're just kind of waiting, kind of tentatively, just because the Ocean Soul is coming up in a minute and a half's time. And XL, they've had control sort of in the top side. They've sort of cornered MOUZ off towards the top side for the last couple of minutes. And just by nature of geography on the map, it means now they're going to be able to kind of just walk into the bottom side. Leader, I don't think he's in trouble.
We've got the Master Chief and Vision score right here. Enjawve, Spartan 117 right now. He has been large and in charge when it comes to keeping control of the map. Orome, can he actually clear this in time? No, the tower goes down.
That's a shame.
Unlucky for Orome on that one.
No,
but Jamada, I want to pick your brain for a second here, because Drake's going to be coming up in a minute. I feel like we're going to have a potentially game-deciding fight coming up in the next 60 seconds. Who have we got to keep our eyes on? Who are the big players that can turn this game around?
I think naturally we have to talk about leader on this Akali. He's had a lot of impact already. Pridestalkr walking forward there. I think Orome has silently gone under the radar this game. He's done a lot of work, damage and CC, keeping carries alive or just turning fights back on their head time and time again so far in this one. And of course, Deadly, I think. And Pridestalkr, if he can find backline access, Orome at the moment.
Orome having a bit of a 1v1 at the backline while Markoon goes in onto Satorius here. Leader's ult is on cooldown. It's a 30-second mark until that Drake comes up. Leader will not have perfect execution here.
Yeah, and Orome won't have Dominus either, so trade of ultimates, but I think definitely a bigger win for BTXL. Akali not having that ultimate, her threat is just so much lower if she can't get that execution off onto key members. So much AoE can occasionally come out of that ultimate as well. Can be a very big deal. But at the moment, Satorius doesn't have Mega, so let's see what's going on. We've got a bit of a map flip. It's BTXL entering on the red side. MOUZ in front of the Dragon Pit already.
Yeah, here we go. Satorius, no Mega Gnar, but he can start to build that up again shortly here. Shield's coming across from Gadget. BTXL, they look like they want to find a way in. Leader, we talked about perfect execution. It's about to come off cooldown again. That's when MOUZ can pull the trigger. Keep your eyes on Markoon as the primary engage here for BTXL. In they go. Ults across everyone, but it's great to answer. In goes Leader onto the backline. Deadly flashes over the wall. Leader follows and takes him down. MOUZ on top of the fight. Markoon goes down to Gadget. And Leader still going strong right now. Orome in the backline does find one for himself, but that's all he's going to be able to find. Has a lot of sustain, but Hatrixx just doesn't have the damage here. Doesn't feel like he can do anything in this fight. Advienne still there. Orome still alive somehow. The sustain is unbelievable, but Hatrixx now gets back. Dominus just came back off a cooldown. This fight is unbelievable, and Orome is looking to carry it for his team. Gadget over the wall. Pridestalkr now onto Hatrixx once more. The dots are ticking away. Orome versus the world, and he finds himself a double kill. Pridestalkr versus a crocodile, and it doesn't feel like the spear is going to be good enough. Orome will not let this game go.
We just said it, Orome is the man in charge at the moment in some of these team fights. So much sustained, the longevity out of his build is just crazy. He goes down, he revives, and he just gets almost all of his health back from the Cold of the Week, the Gore Drinker procs. It's just absolutely insane. And the start of that fight looked so good because BTXL picked such a pivotal moment where Leader was kind of in an awkward position to make it into the fight, but I think he managed to find a Shuriken flip in, and Deadly had committed his ultimate. I think Pridestalkr, it's a 50-50. It's gonna be a 50-50.
Deadly goes in and they get the soul! Ocean Soul for BTXL! Pridestalkr trying to get away, has his ult taken away, so he'll be okay for now. Orome dashing out, Markoon has the movement speed to jump away. Satorius turning Gnar, gets one off, but it's Gadget that goes down. Satorius is stuck, stun goes wide, Leader has arrived on the scene, but another TP coming through. Hatrixx returning to the fray once more. Advienne dodges a boulder. Baron is on the cards.
Baron is on the cards with Gadget dead. Numbers advantage is in favor of BTXL right now. One thing to know though, it's a 2-level lead for Pridestalkr, so if he finds his way into the pit, of course he's going to have more smite damage. Let's see if he can make that actually happen though. He's got a lot of range between the E and the W, of course because of the changes. He can practically do it from where he is right now. But it seems like MOUZ, they don't even want to flip it. Yeah, they don't want to flip it. Already giving over the Ocean Soul, they just feel like if they lose Pridestalkr and they don't get the Baron, they could just lose so much more. The replay here of the team fight. And I mean, it's just BTXL, they just kind of feel like this is the moment to go. MOUZ, they kind of group up in a way, but it's just a duo engage between Markoon and Advienne. It's so nice. The encore comes back in return. But you can see Leader flashes over the wall and all eyes on Deadly. Between Pridestalkr and Leader, they don't want this man to play the game. The Satorius ult on the backline is so pivotal in knocking down multiple members of BTXL as well. But let's just
Look at Orome. Right? How do they win this fight? How is this possible?
So let's see. He goes in to the stasis of GA. Advienne's buying a little bit of time. He comes up half HP. Does he just get a nice Cold and Meek plus Gore Drinker proc? He's just not taking any damage. Dominus comes back in. It's just invincible. Yeah, that's the only way to put it. MOUZ quite simply didn't have the damage to take this man down. You feel kind of because they blew everything on taking Deadly down in the initial fight.
Honestly, I'm watching this. This is like an old Kung Fu movie, and Orome's just stood there, and each of the baddies is coming in one by one, and he just gives them a little combo, and then turns around and gives the next guy a little combo, and he just walks over to the Drake and takes it as a bit of a prize. Unbelievable that Orome is able to pull that off. What a ridiculous course of events.
Yeah, it's honestly, it's stuff of awe sometimes when you get to see it happen like that. MOUZ trying to find something on the back foot of the play, but they overcommit for a choke. They don't recognize they're sort of walking back into BTXL territory because the fight's gone on for so long, multiple members have respawned. So donating over Gadget and Baron after that means now BTXL, I think, actually stacking the waves and making sure they sync together in the mid lane and the top side. Do like to see,
very nicely done.
Yeah, I do like to see that when it does happen. And it just means additional pressure for MOUZ to have to deal with now.
So now Markoon can push the wave in the mid lane while the rest of the team sieges on the top side. Look at the tower's health, already down to just 1/3. And those cannons will do a lot of work to try and chip away at that itself. But importantly, if BT can't end the game on this Baron push, and it doesn't feel like that's likely to happen, it's 3 minutes until an Elder Drake will spawn. Satorius threatening here. He's about to turn into Gnar. Orome charmed into the fray already. Steric's keeping him alive. Dominus is there. The sustain is actually unbelievable. Is Deadly still alive on the backside of the fight? But Orome is down. The question is, what is the answer? A support for a top laner is very much in favor of BTXL for now. Markoon dashing back out of the play here onto the inhib go BTXL, but they might be biting off more than they can chew here. Gadget no ult available, Satorius no Gnar, but he's quite happy to step up anyway apparently.
Gadget, oh my god!
From Deadly, that's a lot of damage right there. Gadget forced away, that might just be the inhib here. 1 or 2 autos would do the trick, and that would be pressure on the top side of the map. Leader forced away, inhib goes down.
First inhib of the game in favor of BTXL. I think the Baron buff has dropped off now, so I'm not going to be able to continue a siege in that manner. But with the top lane inhibitor being down and Elder Dragon being the next objective so far away from one another, MOUZ, they've always got to worry about this side lane now for the next couple of minutes. And it's just going to be this pressure sink for MOUZ, and it's going to give a lot of freedom to XL as this replay comes in. Orome gets clipped by all of the CC, but the Ocean Soul plus just the innate healing of Renekton plus the Gore Drinker keeps him alive for so much longer than he deserves to be alive for. And because of that, it just means he ends up trading 1-for-1 for Enjawve. And just because the Baron buff is still there for XL, it's a trade you're happy to take because you can continue the siege onwards. MOUZ just not able to find more than just Orome because of how long it takes to kill the man.
So we reset for a second here, Jamada. We have a moment to take a breather because Elder spawning soon. Enjawve in a bit of a dicey spot as he pulls off a recall, but I think he will get away with it here.
They know,
It's
but
too
will they
late.
be able to stop? Yeah, it's too late.
It's too late. He gets away with it. 1 minute until Elder Drake, though. And if these fights go the way that they have been in the last couple of fights, it feels like you can either focus Orome or Deadly. But whichever one you don't go for takes over the fight.
Yeah, exactly. The other one will pop off. If you pop the...
Deadly, my man! Calm
Okay. Look. Realistically, he wasn't actually in threat of dying, but it's just seeing Leader in proximity of Deadly like that. It gets your heart racing a little bit, all right? That's all it is.
Deadly blast cones at Leader like that again, I'm gonna have heart condition issues by the end of this series. That's not what AD carries are meant to do, okay?
No, it's certainly not. And for now, BTXL, they're playing through mid and bot. They know they're always going to have the constant pressure of the top lane inhibitor, and they're just playing for this Elder Dragon. If they can secure it, is likely... I mean, Elder is typically just the game-ending buff. It's very rare that you see Elders be handed over to a team and they don't end either within the duration or sort of the next 4-ish minutes, 5 minutes after taking it. And now, because they've had control of the bottom side for so long, MOUZ have to check through all of this vision. And it's on XL to actually defend it. Pridestalkr kind of alone.
Ooh, he's stepping in, but we'll get away with it for now. Vision cleared by Orome. He dashes out. Leader's been caught, though. The stun is there. The damage out from Deadly. 1 or 2 more shots and finish the kill already. He's gone. Leader is down. It's a huge moment for BTXL, and they jump in for more. Gnar onto the backline. Deadly knocked up. Can they finish the AD carry?
He's in
Goes
GA.
into GA. But in the meantime, Enjawve getting low. Pridestalkr, that Gadget stuck at the back of the pit, and the Dragon's going to finish him himself. Deadly moves in. Pridestalkr checks him into the pit, but the outskill button hits. Pridestalkr knocked into GA himself. Satorius kicked out, and BT Excel will take themselves the Elder Dragon.
They'll take the fight. They might just go for the game end. They've got the wave in the top side. Teleport not cancelled just yet. Oh, he's got the wall off. Okay, Orome's not going to make it to the top side. We'll see if they still go to end the game. The death timers are quite lengthy. I think they are going to make the call. They're going to try and be decisive on this one. It's just Satorius up and available. He won't have the wave clear to stop this push as soon as the 4 members make it here. BTXL
Satorius versus the world.
Yeah,
Let's see if he's going to be able to do it. Yeah, we'll see if he's going to be able to. He's knocked onto the fountain here. The towers are falling. It's crumbling. BTXL are going to take game 1 in a 46.5-minute banger over MOUZ.
Barn burner of a game here between these two teams. BTXL who take game number 1. It looked shaky in the mid game. It looked like it could go either way, but the execution ends up being in BTXL's favor. Critically, Orome stepping up once Deadly kind of didn't necessarily have the space in some of these fights, and it swapped the focus up for MOUZ. It's like, okay, we have to choose. Is it Orome who we have to try and burst down and kill, or is it Deadly when he steps too far forward? If they picked Orome, all of a sudden Deadly is popping off in fights. If they picked Deadly, all of a sudden, if they picked Orome, no, you get the point. You get the point. Either way, they couldn't kill both of them in any successive fight, and it just turned into a situation where they just couldn't win anything anymore. The Ocean Soul won out too much for them.
Yeah, and I'm really curious to see damage charts of this.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I feel like Hatrixx is going to be a sneaky MVP in some of these fights, because so long in these fights, he was just ignored.
Yeah,
he was just casually throwing out voidlings and ease and all of that good stuff.
Yeah, the impact might not have necessarily always been immediately felt once the QSSs came in, and he might not have had all of the targets, but just being able to throw the silencers down, having the voidlings walking around, Hatrixx potentially a silent hero in terms of damage. But I mean, gosh, moving forward, MOUZ, they've only got 1 more shot at this against BTXL now. It's a best of 3, and that's what we spoke about in the game, right? Having these picks like that, Malzahar, you come in confident, you come in strong, you take game 1, all of a sudden you can very easily throw a team off killer.
All right, well, that's game number 1 under our belts, and I'm thinking with how close that was, we could have a 3-game series on our hands. So we're going to jump into a break, then we'll find out right after.
Nothing comes easy. I've learned that the hard way. I've had those bad days. Yeah, I've had those bad days. And they say, never gonna make it that far. You don't even know who you are. You'll never go all the way. Who do you think that you are? But I know gonna stop.
Sweet child of mine. Oh, sweet love of mine.
Nothing.
And welcome back to the EU Masters semi-finals. BTXL take game 1 against MOUZ Esports. I see the smiles on the desk here. That was a close game, though.
Listen, the smile is sort of like trembling. I'm like, that was very easy to do. That was easy. I didn't sweat at all watching that.
Yeah, I mean, I was a bit scared. MOUZ was behind 5k. It felt like they were up 2k at points, like with the way they were playing around. So I'd definitely say that was way more intense than I had first anticipated going into this semifinals. But if this is what we can expect for the rest of this series, I mean, I'm all in. This is perfect.
It all started with a Dragon steal from Deadly on the bot lane. And I want to say, during the early game, BTXL was doing so good.
They were, and that was due to their bot lane. They took absolute control, and we've seen this over and over again from Deadly and Advienne. That was absolutely beautiful.
Blinds, by the way.
I mean, that was blind. Then they got the kill down bot lane. Actually, Deadly absolutely smurfed the early game, and that was something they really needed to try and excel on the solo lanes as well. Take off the pressure from bot and allow Advienne to be completely unlocked on the map. And it actually happened for the first time. We see Advienne having more kill participation than Deadly. This is nuts.
Yeah, this is absolutely crazy. And you're completely right. Like, Deadly was a huge early game factor, but I think it's when we hit that mid game that Deadly kind of fades away. There's too much backline dive from the side of MOUZ. It's hard for him to play. There's a XinZhao in his face. There's an Akali in his face. But all of a sudden, it kind of changes around to at the beginning. You think, all right, it's Deadly we have to worry about. But no. We get to that late game, and it turns out it's all about Orome you need to worry about. He was insane on this Renekton.
I mean, going to the late game, I want to say, watching this replay, I got scared for BTXL. This was all about leader here.
It was all about leader, and we showcased it at the start, right? It was going to be all about leader. MOUZ is about leader. Yes, Gadget, MSI, Worlds, you can say whatever you want. But right here, he's taking the back seat. He sits on the child seat, he puts on his seatbelt, and he allows leader to drive the car. And this is exactly what leader tried to do here. Yes, it didn't work out, but boy, did it look absolutely scary. Every time leader joined the fight, you knew that it was just about to go down. I don't think he left a single fight without at least a double kill.
It was. And then you had to worry about the Seraphine champion that we're gonna talk about a bit later. But when you look at the gold graph here, it doesn't look like MOUZ had any chance ever.
That's the thing, right? This is why it's so crazy. You look at that gold difference, and this game is almost 1 hour. I was like, how is this still going on? Look at the gold lead while I was watching this game. And I think that is what makes it so terrifying as an NLC fan as well, is that we had everything going right for us, except the like top lane dive, right? But we were so proactive. We made everything happen. I think if you're a MOUZ fan now, you just need to come in even. You saw how close this game was while there were 6k gold down. If you actually have some alleviation in the early game or something that can help you out with all that pressure that's coming through, or, you know, just a priority lane so that XinZhao actually has something to counter jungle for or something to do in the early game, which XinZhao is known for, this is going to be a whole different story. I think for the next time, MOUZ, they need to have more early game agency.
Yeah, we'll talk about the draft and what went wrong here, maybe. But following up on the discussion we had during the pre-show about the potential mid-lane show that we expected, I feel like it was more about top lane here, trouble, and Orome popping off so much.
Honestly, Orome has a very special place in my heart. Not because he absolutely smurfed and destroyed that game, but because he came onto the NLC. We saw him in the LEC at the start, and then he fell completely through. He came onto the NLC, and in a very heartfelt interview, he said how he lost his passion, he lost his drive, he lost his fire. And you know what he did? He's starting small again. He's starting from his roots. He's starting from the ERLs. And this is where the fire gets reignited, and we see it right now. He picks up the bruises again. He's done with the tanks. He carries the game. And honestly, in my opinion, yes, Deadly carried the early game, But Orome on the Renekton, he was beating Gnar in a lane. He literally turned every single fight that Deadly got assassinated in. He pulled out a 1v4. Like, what else do you want the man to do? Like, he's ready, LEC. Pick him back up.
He's doing well in the NLC. Maybe that's, for now, the place he should stay. I mean, maybe a lot of pressure.
Don't steal him just yet. We still want him.
Stop stealing players, LEC. He's doing so well now. And, I mean, let's take a look at the draft now, the draft we had from the previous game. I feel like I'm disappointed in a way because we expected, again, the assassin matchup on mid lane. Hatrixx showing up here, proving no, leader, you're not going to be able to play today. But let's take a look at the wins conditions for both teams. And yeah, what did MOUZ need to do to win?
Yeah, I think like for MOUZ, there's a lot about that backline. You can see it, like Deadly had such a hard time playing as well, just because there was always going to be someone on top of them. And while someone is on your backline, you had the Seraphine ultimate, you just go throughout your whole team. In every team fight we had where MOUZ actually won, it was them just completely dogpiling on the side of BTXL and not letting them do anything, letting them stay CC chained. I think for MOUZ moving forward as well, you can keep some of that as priority. You can keep lead on the assassins. You can even keep the top lane matchup if that is what you want. But you need something that's just a priority lane. I think that's why they've chosen red side again. They know they need to get in there and actually have a winning lane from the get-go, so they're not just having to forfeit everything in the early game. For BTXL, I mean, you can just keep that going. Like, this is a style we want. Yes, we did not get to see the assassin versus assassin matchup, but we did see Hatrixx on something like the Galio, where it was like, okay, I'm going to push in mid, and then I'm just going to get the hell out of here and move into a side lane instead. And that's what we saw. That's the BTXL style.
Yeah, bringing the utility for the team. You wanted to add something?
I don't want to see adaptation from MOUZ. I love what I'm seeing right here. This is the true identity of MOUZ. They're bringing in 4 melees. They're used to playing the melees, whether it's a Sylas, a Zed, an Akali in the mid lane, also melees for the jungle and their top lane, and then they have a Seraphine. That goes into the late game. They play the fights right. No one dies. Literally what I'm seeing right here is a BTXL that wants to dive into the backline. They want to catch Gadget off guard. And once the Seraphine dies, that's it. That's it. You can't play with 4 melees anymore because you don't have the arm's length to play your opponent. So Seraphine is just such a key component. And I love what MOUZ are bringing to the table because this is truly Draft Kingdom.
Yeah, we'll see how MOUZ can adapt actually in Game 2 because BTXL are just 1 win away from their first EU Masters final as we return for Game 2 and match point in just a few minutes.